do I have?
Now we can.
Okay, all right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, thanks again for your help.
No problem. Thank you. Yep, so that's what you guys need. Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
No, I wasn't.
Do you want to read the one? We have an election of officers. Does anyone?
Do we want to do?
What-
Oh, yeah, that's what
I'm
we're
just following.
following.
Okay, all right, I'll just follow
You're
the.
right.
that's one- I can follow. I can do roll call if you want.
Nope.
Okay. All right. It says here on the agenda that we have an election of officers. Currently, is everyone happy with where they are in the world? Does anyone want to change? Do I have
Okay,
one?
do you want to have a slate?
Is anyone? Okay, right? I want everyone happy here. You know me, I care about it.
All right, we're booting George, just a chance. At least the
Okay, then I need a motion to,
Make a motion to appoint the current slate of officers with Callis as president, Hannon as secretary.
Nope.
Sorry, Sass as secretary, and Hannon is treasurer.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that he
I
just said.
second.
There you go.
great job, guys. All my hopes have been dashed.
We gonna vote on that or?
Yes,
just-
please.
Is that a roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So President Callis,
Okay,
Secretary Sass.
Yep.
Treasurer Hannon.
Yep.
Trustee Simpson
yes.
and Trustee Allen. I was going to say Trustee Luke.
Go by trustee Luke. Yes, do.
That's good like that, trustee Luke.
Yeah.
All right, roll call please.
President Callis,
Present.
Secretary Sass.
Yep.
Treasurer Hannon.
Yep.
Trustee Simpson.
Yep.
Trustee Allen.
Yes.
Well, it was trustee Luke.
You didn't know what to, you didn't know to say his name.
About trustee. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of 8/16/22, please.
Someone. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This is a time for public comment. There will be some time available at the end of the meeting also. So if you have anything that anyone wants to say right now, please feel free to raise your hand on the computer or raise your hand while you're here.
Is there one? Okay.
Seeing none.
None? Okay, great. Well, like I said, we will offer it again later. Treasurer's report?
Reports enclosed in your packet. Just one note that we got in the, we got in the other property tax, 134,507. The next payment did come in. So from that, I'll turn it over to our firm.
Yeah.
That's how we've been doing it.
All right, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
No, no worries.
Yes, we
You're
can.
later on the agenda. Good, James.
So tonight we're going to walk through the 4 months ended August 31. Do you guys want me to share my screen or does everybody have it in front of them?
They all have copies.
All right, very good. So let's just go through some revenue highlights. Again, we're at 33% of the way through our fiscal year. We've collected 54% of our total revenue budget. Property taxes in at 1.6 million, so we're at 59% of our budget there. And again, that's mostly the first major installment from the county. Again, this month, we should start to see the rest of the money come in to take us closer to 100%. Ambulance fees continue to outperform, 483,000 collected there. We're already at 69%. And then PPRT, that personal property replacement tax, 22,000 collected there. We're already 45% better than what we budgeted. And I've seen this kind of across all my districts in the sense that the PPRT is coming in well above not only what we received in a prior year, but obviously what was budgeted. And this is a collection from the state. Remember, this is the business tax that comes in about every other month. So again, good news for us, but again, interesting to see these collections pretty much outperform across all the fire districts that I work for. So in terms of revenues, as we look kind of line by line, percent of budget versus last year, taxes in at 59%. We're down just slightly 4%, about 60,000 from what we collected at this point last year. Not too concerning. We're going to see this next major installment come in and then kind of see where we are year on year. Ambulance fees, as talked about, 69% of the budget, up 80% over last year. So that's good collections. That's your GMT program working for you. Probably an uptick in call volume. All of that looks really good. Down below that, some investment income. Obviously, we were seeing rates as the Fed continues to move. Rates are going up. We're already at 68% of that budget, even though we're down from the prior year. You can see about 2.3 million in total revenue. 4.1 was budgeted. We're at 57%. We're up 16% year on year. Distribution wise, taxes make up the majority of the pie at 69%. Our ambulance fees make up about 21%. That replacement tax 0.9, miscellaneous 0.2, investment income 0.1, and then our internal transfer to the capital fund about 9%. In terms of August, we kind of hit the high water mark to date on collections, 174,000 collected, totaling 483 now for the year. We're averaging about 121,000 a month. That beats the budgeted average of 58. Last year, over 12 months, we were at 73. So again, we continue to be strong in terms of those ambulance collections.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that our revenues are coming in higher than the budgets. Did the budget, when it was passed, factor in the anticipated ambulance billing increase that was passed?
Probably
Or
not. And I can tell you why, because this is, I believe, your first year in GMT. So you don't really know what you're gonna get out of it. So what we tell everyone, remember, 50% of that GMT goes back.
Right.
So what we tell you is use what you had as a basis in the past. You know it'll be higher, and then you can use that as an estimate going forward. But you really.
But that's one reason that we're seeing this looking like it's significantly higher and over
Plus
projections.
we did an increase as well,
Yeah.
which
Plus
is
we did
also
it.
not.
Like, so I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that.
so there were a variety of factors that over the last number of years, because we had gone through and analyzed over several years, actually going back to when I was still the deputy chief. And for a reason that we were unable to do, our ambulance fee structure was variable from year to year. I mean, 6 figures for a relatively small agency. So we've had a difficult time truly, and we've been raising every year with the help of James and his group. We've been raising that number every year to try and better forecast what that's going to be, and with the GEMT and with the first year that we're actually starting to be enrolled in it, with the increases, with the increased call volumes, there was a variety of factors that have still led us to that point where we're factoring in and trying to get it dialed in. But
I just wanted to clarify, that's part of the reason that it shows that we're so much higher, is because the budget was based on previous
Yeah.
estimated
and
revenues.
there's a lot of variable factors out there.
And
that
the
are
other
impacting.
variable.
And while we're getting the revenues in, 50% of our GPs are going back out, so.
So as we flip in some expenditure highlights, again, 33% of the year gone by, we've expensed 26% of the total budget. Operating wise, we're at 28%. Comp and benefits, again, that's the largest line in the budget. 28%. Salaries at 695,000 or 31%. Buildings and facilities at 22% of the budget. Equipment, vehicle maintenance 12, training, education 13. All of that looks very good. Obviously, staying below where we are in the year. Comp and benefits being the major component there at 28% looks very nice. That's how you want to trend through this through the first third of the year. On the next slide, again, just the expenditures percent of budget versus last year's. Comp and benefits at 28%, down 6. The pension fund, again, that money goes directly there at 52%. That's down about 14%, but not a big number. And again, some of the other categories, all of which are below 33%. Besides the audit, obviously we pay that 1 or 2 times a year. So all in, we're at 1.2 million for ops on 4.4 million budgeted at 28%, down 2%. All of that trending nicely again through 1/3 of the year. Small amount of capital outlay, and then again the other side of that transfer to the capital fund. On the distribution, comp and benefits makes up 65%, the pension fund 17%, a legal and professional 5, admin 6, building and facilities 2, medical equipment, maintenance operations 3.5, and then some smaller percentages for fire and rescue equipment, training and education, and the audit. After 4 months, again, a nice surplus, 883,000. We started with about 4 million. We're at about 4.9 million in ending fund balance. Again, in a better position surplus wise this year versus last year. And a lot of that to do with that increase in some of those revenues, particularly those ambulance fees. Last but not least, the final slide, about 3.7 million across all bank accounts. Again, 25 basis points now from Grand Ridge. We should continue to see that rise as the Fed moves again coming up here. So again, it's a good time to be in money markets and in cash, which is not always typical, as we're seeing pretty good rates, now, and we'll probably continue for the next several months. But that's all I have for my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Good. Luke, any more questions?
I do not.
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Very welcome.
We have a roll call vote on that?
Wait a minute, I don't think you made a motion yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Along with the audit report.
No, the audit.
Financial.
just the
Financial.
Financial report, yeah, that's fine.
Luke, you were second?
Yes.
Trustee Charles? Secretary Sutton?
Yep.
Treasurer Hammond?
Yep.
Trustee Young? Trustee Simpson?
Thanks, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron,
Oh, you're welcome.
What's it?
Analysis.
I know it's from you.
That's right.
Chief. Thank you, Mr. President. This month for the special operations training was actually done in-house hazardous materials training where the crews worked with their own monitoring devices. We did dress-ins, dress-outs, level B, which is a certain level of that we can operate at generally and the fire and EMS companies working in level B, doing in-house training. So that was the essential elements of that. The multi-company training for this month is today through Thursday, multi-company training, multi-family structures at Carroll Stream Station 28. So one of the things is when we operate, we the Alliance towns and fire departments operate in a multi-family incident, we operate in a slightly different manner than we would if we were going into a detached single-family house or perhaps even a townhouse. In terms of how how the crews initiate operations. So in a lot of these, similar to a commercial facility, what will happen is that engine companies and truck companies will marry together and make entry into certain segments of the occupancy under the direction of a chief officer, battalion chief, or perhaps even on occasion a command chief officer, and will operate as independent little units within the structure. So that's the way that works. It's a departure from how we operate on most single family and townhouse fires, which is why we train on it, because you have to switch gears a little bit, because typically it has to do with potential victims, the size, construction, and topography of the occupancies. So for those reasons, so we commence today. The drill usually runs 3 sessions. So between all of the 6 Alliance towns and all of the companies that we arrange so we can cover each other, so companies go drill, operate together, and all the other stuff. We typically have 3 sessions a day. And so by that way, every one for 3 days, every fire and EMS company within the Alliance has the opportunity to get up to the drill site to train together with other companies. Well, today it was drill was canceled after 2 sessions because of weather was unfavorable, and out of an abundance of safety for the troops, drill was canceled after the second evolution. So, and those presumably will be continuing the next 2 days. Hopefully the conditions will be better, so we can get the troops trained and everybody does so safely. Recent incidents of note, which obviously we go through the run report following this, but on September 5th, Black Shift, the engine medic and the deputy chief went to West Chicago for a structure fire, Ridgewood. And on the September 13th, Red Shift We had an appliance fire in Pheasant Ridge. At the trailer park, we were assisted by Wheaton, so thanks to them. Service anniversaries for this month, we only have one firefighter paramedic, Eddie Troutman. Now, Eddie Troutman started his career with Winfield as a part-time and paid-on-call member of our agency. And after being with us in that capacity for a while, a couple of years, I think, he actually got hired full-time and has been with us and a leader within our agency ever since. So total service, he celebrated his 27th anniversary with us on 8/26. So a true leader of our agency, a wonderful guy and shift mate of mine for many years. So absolutely trust him with my life. Other things like spot updates still in progress, fleet updates, we have several. And thanks to Brian Burke and our providers, which include Fire Service Inc. out of Naperville, which has been very busy with our stuff, unfortunately. Recently, there have been a wonderful vendor to deal with. They send out mobile texts at a moment's notice, unfortunately. But they've been awesome to us. And Brian Burke can coordinate all of that. It's a whale of a job, and he does an exceptional job of it. Tender 31 went out and got a fairly considerable repair to the coolant system. So that's back, thank goodness, because the engine went down the other day and it's out there now. My command car is out for repairs, and actually we had a new one on order, and actually I got an update today that they're expecting it to arrive at the dealer at the end of this month, so that'll be good news. The new engine update still on schedule as it stands for a June delivery for the new engine. The new ambulance obviously was delivered. You can see it in the apparatus bay.
It's pretty.
Crews are working on getting it outfitted. We had a slight delay, so that resulted in a setback with respect to getting the radio and the MDT installed. And then after we get all that completed, then we can start arranging for the IDPH inspection, because it can't operate as an ambulance until that happens. So one of the things I wanted to mention is, I've mentioned it before, the Emergency Telephone System Board, ETSB, county agency, supplies portable radios, has for a number of years, to all of the fire departments in the county, because it's part of a proprietary system, a digital system. It's a superior radio system. It is. I've used it. It's fantastic. Deputy Chief has one of the Starcom radios on now. The Starcoms we were originally given many years ago have reached, or actually exceeded, their end of life. So they were buying a whole new series of radios for that reason. And they changed from last time, where it was, you could get a combination of radios, a certain number per agency of portable and mobile radios, as soon as you fill out your number. This time around, they're doing the portable radios and mobile radios for everyone, so that every vehicle has mobile radios. So they are supplying mobile radios, brand new. They're new to they're only just hit the street. And we actually, they're not issued yet. If you have a vehicle showing up, a new, like in our case, a new ambulance showing up, new command car showing up, whatever, new engine, they will issue them early if you put in a request form, because they're not generally being distributed yet. But we have one. Deputy Chief took care of that. We have one actually in his office. So as soon as we get all that stuff arranged, we can have the technicians come in and install that, and then it'll be part of the new Starcom radio system in that way. So that's all good stuff. All being handled, work in progress. Safer grants. Everyone is frustrated that federal government has been slow to make announcements with respect to so far, I think, as I understand it, there's only one agency in Illinois this year that's been announced as in the recipient of a safer grant.
It wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
Is that
Brookfield.
Brookfield?
I think it was 21, I think.
Okay.
So this year's round, so far, that's all. They've been slow to come out. A lot of the federal grant announcements this year, according to the talk, has been slow to come out.
Do they release them, they trickle them out, or is it like one press release, here's all of them? Or do we know?
Usually they'll chunk them into large, fairly considerable groups, and this year there has been a trickle. And So it's a little bit of a departure and it's got everyone nervous.
Did you ever find out if the county grant was available or awarded or not
The
awarded
ARPA one?
It was awarded.
to us?
It was not awarded, Jeff. We did not.
Did you get like feedback from that grant
Yeah,
application?
there was some issue with respect to our submission. There was some error in it that got disqualified.
And the figures in that ARPA grant that, once they go through the check, some of those people aren't gonna get what they said they were gonna get initially. I just can't imagine, so we'll see what happens. There may be another go around, because I think there's gonna be some money. I think once they go through it, some of these districts that in theory are gonna get like several $100,000. I can't imagine that's gonna happen.
I saw that those dollar amounts. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, again, our submission was only
It wasn't much.
$23,000
And I think
because
that's
those were the parameters we were given.
right, and that's what I think, that's why I think people are gonna they're gonna cut back, because under the parameters, there's no way, some of what I've heard has been covered, will be actually covered, but we'll see.
Thank
you. So the commission has been hard at work. The commissioners are here this evening. The commission has been hard at work because everything that they were here to do, they've been doing. The new firefighter testing is underway. There was an amendment to the requirements for the position, which is something that's being done by a lot of agencies in our area. Many years ago, when my generation of firefighters were hired, a lot of people got hired if you were 21, had a driver's license and not convicted of a felony. You could get hired, and then whatever you needed to be sent to, the agency would send you the fire academy, medic school. And then over time that went away to a point where now, oftentimes, very often, medic and firefighter were required, and in addition, potentially other things on top of that. And in the current climate, fire departments and fire districts are having an incredibly difficult time nationally. Volunteer combination, part-time, full-time, everyone's having difficulty with recruitment retention. So as a result of that, a lot of agencies now, including us, have relaxed those requirements to some degree to try and inspire more people to apply. So they did a lot of work. The commission, compliments to them. They did a lot of work on making all that happen, getting a list underway. I think applications are due back by the end of this month. And then we'll, yeah, there are actually agencies, I might add, that put out applications in the recent past in this area that received no applications. None. So it's a challenging time for us. Also, the lieutenant testing is underway. The unofficial kickoff of it was an orientation session with the testing agency that was here by the commission to give everyone a rundown, an orientation session of what was involved, components, a little bit of
Set some expectations.
Q&A with them. And so it was all good stuff. The next element of this is resumes are due of potential or wanton applicants are due to administrative professional Robin Youngberg's on November 1st by 1,700 hours. And then that will be the kickoff of the lieutenant testing process, because the orientation was optional. But so the commission's working really hard on getting a lot of stuff done. Again, all testing of all things at the moment, so they're really working hard.
Quick question, is that an internal only? Or is
Yes.
extra, okay.
So recently, the Winfield Chamber of Commerce meeting was hosted by the Village of Winfield and included a tour of their facilities, and it was a good thing. Deputy Chief Irmer and I attended. And we will be hosting the next Chamber of Commerce meeting here for any of you that might be available and interested on October 4th at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to be hosting here and give everyone a nice presentation about some, it is fire prevention month. So we're going to give some nice fire safety tips, fire prevention tips, tour the facilities, and talk about what's going on with us. So it's show them the new ambulance, a lot of things. It'll be a good opportunity for us and the community.
Say Winfield Chamber,
Winfield Chamber.
it's not the Western Chamber.
Nope.
No.
No, what, not the Western DuPage.
It restarted like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
If that, maybe,
And
maybe three.
Can somebody?
Sorry,
it's
Chief, what was the date?
gonna be a new president.
October 4th
Right.
at 7:30 in the morning.
It's a great group.
It is.
I've been there several times.
One of our projects, and it's been a something that I've been trying to get accomplished, and again, it was made more difficult because of the COVID era we lived in. We had a lot of leftover or spare hazardous material chemicals in the building, more than we could fit in a storage cabinet. So one of the big things was to clean up all that stuff, you know, and it was an important thing. It was stuff that we didn't even know what it was. It was decades worth of stuff that needed to get handled. So that was a big deal that just came through. So they team went through here, cleaned up, took that stuff, the proper disposal. So that was a big deal. That helps us out a lot and makes the place safer. So it was one of our objectives in the program we're in with Irma as well. And compliments to actually Andrew Martin, who does a lot of work with Irma and coordinates with them. So he happens to be present in the meeting, and he's done an incredible job as our designated safety person working with them. He's been absolutely instrumental in satisfying their request for us for quite some time. Station 32 is being outfitted for trainees. The deputy chief's he's been helping the group with that effort. But a lot of special credit to Lamb, Smith, Vester, Goldshift in general. They've been working really hard to turn, you know, because in its current state, it's difficult for us. We don't have the opportunity that a Carol Streamer and even Wheaton do with respect to in our jurisdictional training opportunities. So using the space over there, we clean that out as well, in case you saw the dumpster. So we did a lot of work down there, and now we've got that. So they've got something they can go in and do a lot of good shift training, preparation for shift drills, preparation for alliance drills, obviously making them better when the tones drop. So it's really good work, and there's a lot of people that they've all been really putting in an incredible effort to turn that into something, which is a good thing for the community. And then similarly, work continues on the radio room conversion fest implemental, so they're getting close on that as well. And that's
On the what?
The radio room. They wanted the radio room used to be enclosed within glass. It was not conditioned. It got very stuffy and hot in there. And a lot of other fire departments have made this coffee bar thing on the apparatus floor. And obviously, now that we're in the Alliance, we're always visiting each other's firehouses. It was something that the crew was motivated about, having something like that for us. And that was a fairly easy ask to approve with respect to making that conversion, so it can be more like the others and serve as kind of a hub during the day. So, and they use it a lot. So it's a good thing. And that serves all I have to report.
Thank you.
The only thing is that, you know, at the November, December meeting, we'll be doing your tax levy. So James and I will work on coming up. You know, obviously you're going to do truth and taxation because you passed your referendum.
We do it all the time anyway.
Yeah, but this year probably, yeah. You know, so obviously it's going to be a higher number in that percentage because of the referendum passed. Everyone's doing truth and taxation because the CPIU was 5, and so that means that everyone's getting a minimum of. I mean, CPIU was 7. The truth and taxation is the lower of the CPIU of 5%. This year it's 5%. So I would expect if they're anticipating new growth, you're not going to be alone. Maybe in many years you were like the only one doing it. This year everyone will be doing it. So we'll work on that. I'll get the dates from the chief and Robin as far as your December meeting. We'll get the notice prepared, and or you'll get the notice prepared, and we'll go from there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any old business? I need a motion for the consent agenda. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote. New business. Discussion and possible action on RFP submissions.
So as a result of last meeting, we put out a request for qualifications, request for proposal. And we had in excess of a dozen entities contact us for material. He visited with 3 entities during that period of time where they came in, and we had meetings because they wanted, you know, a little bit of information to get some better understanding of our situation, visiting the station, visiting the site, and that kind of thing. And then ultimately we had 6 entities submit proposals. So I have, and again, they were in different, there were different elements of those proposals, some of which were confidential, some which were not. Their basic presentations, they were tasked with supplying 3 copies, so there are copies in the conference room that I would encourage the board to look at. It would be my recommendation, the staff and some of the firefighters, since the day we opened them, have been pouring through the proposal, so we're familiar with the information. We've gone through the specifics of the different entities that supplied information. However, it would be my recommendation that we have some form of a supplemental meeting specifically for the purposes of going through that information and arriving at some decisions with respect to.
In a perfect world, we have 3 sets. I'd like to do a set. And we have 2 sets that the board member can take home so that he can do it at his leisure. You know, so, but keep in mind, we have a short period of time to go through it so that we can share it with the rest of the other board members. Or you can come here and read it, but I think since we have 3 sets, it'd be on your honor, we all have to be good about this. We're not gonna have, you know, library cards, but let's take them home, read them, write down our questions. I would like to have an executive session meeting within 2 weeks.
You're probably not gonna be able to go into closed session to talk about what are we on the, like, this election, what kind of contract is it? I don't remember.
For redoing either this station or building
Yeah,
a
you
new
won't be able to
station.
go into closed session to talk about that.
Well, there's no proposals per se. It's not like we have.
But you won't be able to go into closed session to talk about a financial thing. If you're hiring employees or something like that, but to like talk about building a station, you're not gonna be able to go into closed session.
The only complication was as part of their submission that some of them had some financial disclosures that were confidential.
They can't go into closed session. It's not
So-
your financial disclosures, it's their financial disclosures.
So, okay, because I was hoping we could discuss those financials
Yeah,
as a group.
Well, you could discuss financials, that actually put numbers out there.
I guess we could. Well, we can all be familiar with them. I didn't want, because some of them say not to be released, blah, 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 private, confidential, that portion of it is here. The
they
rest
may,
of it,
and they may not be able to, for sure, once the contract is awarded, that person's, I mean, probably they've submitted it. They're not gonna be able to prevent that bid from being FOIA'd, especially after a contract is awarded. We'll have to see about the unawarded ones, but
I think the issue at this point is until a contract is awarded.
right.
yeah, until
They
contract is
don't
awarded.
want somebody else coming along.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a
Right,
problem
right.
with that. It's just that once the contract is awarded,
That's
those,
Right.
even those bid
That
proposals.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but I thought I'd honor their request. And-
Yeah.
And we're
Because
all,
it doesn't fit the 3 options.
right, so.
Yeah.
We're not
so-
acquiring land, we're not.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's other things that,
Litigating.
like, you can go in closed session to discuss like an internal audit. There's a lot of reasons to talk about a proposal to build a building. Which I don't think you can. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, but, you know, I don't see that as a, you know.
I don't know that we need to.
I think it's just, we need to have a meeting.
We
Yeah.
That's the
need
key.
to have a
Yeah.
meeting. If it's so
I
it's a
think
cow
we,
meeting.
I think we can intelligently have a conversation in regards to,
Correct.
proposals and whatnot, without actually putting specifics.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's all aim, I'll target for that. And then maybe we can try to figure out in the next 2 weeks when we can all meet. I'd like to, I think ideally I'd like to put a time limit on that meeting so that we don't drift and kind of keep a time meeting on it so that we come in and hit the points and have our discussions. And then obviously if we need to go a little bit longer, we can decide to go a little bit longer, but I think a time of 2 hours should be plenty after we've all reviewed the stuff. I don't want to add it on to this meeting, which is, you know,
Right.
so I thought if everyone's in agreement, we can do something like that. And just have a focused meeting on that. Okay, while he checks on that, I'm sorry, I stole your thunder.
That's all I
I think we're done with that. That's not
Do we need
really-
to have
Is
any-
that-
Do you want to set that date?
Well, I thought I'd ask,
I can
Robin,
reach
to
out
send
to the
something
board and
out,
ask them to
see
give me
what's
a few
good.
dates, everybody
Yeah.
can give me a few dates, and then I can find a date
Okay.
that's mutually.
Okay.
agreeable.
When you reply, just make sure you don't hit reply all.
That's always part of
Yes.
my, that's always part of my email.
Now, is
Scheduling.
that a motion or is that? okay.
that'll be one of the new emails.
Yes, it will be. Check your new emails.
Yeah, we get to test and
Check
see if
our
the
new
process
email.
works.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. I have 5 on my phone, I'm gonna be looking mess. So, the next is a presentation, board action on annual audit. He's waiting so long and we've been
James stole my thunder a little
anticipating
bit.
this. We've been anticipating this, so we're up now. Volatility.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Brad Porter. It's great to see all of you again. I'm here on behalf of Lauterbach and Amon as the principal that oversees the district's fiscal year-end audit process. Here this evening to give you a very brief recap of the fiscal year 2022 audit documents that we've issued. Seems like I was just here a few months ago. I know last year was a little bit of a grind, but the software conversion issues seemingly figured themselves out this year. So happy to report that we're gonna be able to file with the comptroller on time and get back in good standing. So that's kind of gonna be the overall theme of my presentation here tonight. I'd like to start by thanking Robin and Chief Evans for all of their efforts. They're a joy to work with. I know they always make sure that we're a priority and that we're taken care of in terms of all of our requested items. So thank you to the two of them and the rest of the team for all their efforts. There are 3 pieces of required communication that we issue at the conclusion of each of our audit cycles, 2 of which are in front of you, the audit report and the management letter. I'm just going to briefly talk about the third one a little bit. That's what we call our statement on auditing standard number 114 letter. In accordance with that letter, we're required to state whether or not we had any disagreements or difficulties that we had encountered throughout our audit process. I'm happy to report no such disagreements or difficulties noted in that letter. It looks like Robin has the one paper copy there, in case you're looking for a little bit of nightly reading, but I know how that goes. So, moving on to the audit report, just a couple of financial highlights. Again, I know James provided a pretty good point in time recap of where you stand today. This is a little bit retroactive to 4/30. So please turn with me to page 1.
This isn't the management letter.
The audit report, I apologize. Yep, that's going to be the thicker of the 2 documents. It's like, got the electronic version.
No, he's sorry.
I got it.
Guys.
I was here.
So page 1 is what we call our independent auditors reports. This is the most important page within your audit, and I don't just say that, we got our letterhead on there. This is ultimately stating what our opinion is for the fiscal year. Our job as your auditors is to ensure that we're testing your internal controls for the sake of generating an opinion on the financial statements that are provided to us. So I'm happy to report we've issued for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2022, a unmodified opinion, which is the cleanest form of any opinion that a governmental unit can receive. So congratulations. Turning to page 5. I just wanted to point out a great section for you as a board. This is what we call our management's discussion and analysis. I know the financial statements can be quite difficult to interpret from year after year. So I would point you in the direction of what we call our MD&A. This is going to give you a great narrative recap of the fiscal year. It's going to have a lot of comparative data from one fiscal year to the next. So focus most of your time and energy on that 4 pages, and I think you'll have a pretty good sense of fiscal year 2022 from a bird's eye view. So, jumping to page 16. Just wanted to point out kind of net position and our change in net position for the fiscal year 2022. On page 16, about midway up the page, you'll find a line that's titled our excess or deficiency of revenues over or under expenditures. That's essentially our net income for the year. So this year we had a change in our overall fund balance in our general fund of about $237,000. That was a reduction of fund balance this year in relation to a budgeted $883,000 loss. So performed much better on that front than we did as it relates to our fiscal 2022 budget. We had an ending net position as of April 30th, 2022 in our general fund of about $2.4 million. Jumping to the management letter. Primary purpose of our management letter is to really convey any best practices, internal control recommendations that we might have, and any upcoming accounting pronouncements. So I'm happy to report we only had one current recommendation this year, which was solely really due to timing, if anything. This is with regards to funds with deficit net position. The audit fund of all things was showing a deficit of $993 for the fiscal year. That can be attributable to last year's audit going a little bit long and the timing of the bills, things like that. So nothing to be overly concerned with as the concept of materiality would apply for our management letters, but unfortunately that would be disclosed if it was.
So you're saying we should cut your pay?
Balance
Compensate for that?
it real fast. Yeah. I didn't put two and two together until I was like, oh, the audit fund. Yeah, that's good. So, yeah.
You're not doing this by the hour right now, are you?
Yeah, all in all, a clean audit process this year. We had 5 prior recommendations, in which, again, I know we were here just a few months ago, so didn't have much time to make positive traction on some of those comments. So I would advise that maybe you take a look at those other 5 prior recommendations and let us know if you have any questions. There were a few policy-related comments that were in there that are kind of best practices type policies that we see across some of our other districts. We have a plethora of database, library, whatever you want to call it, of sample policies. So absolutely take advantage of that and feel free to reach out if you're interested in taking action on some of those things. So
Awesome. Great.
that is all I've got.
Thank you for making it easy.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
And always a pleasure.
No problem.
Thank you.
Great.
And you filed it with the comptroller, or you wait?
It's due, due 10/31s or 10/27, I think is the 180-day mark this year.
Okay.
So it'll be filed on time.
Okay.
Good to go. Perfect.
So we're gonna file with the county or you guys?
That will be your responsibility.
Okay.
So, yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Have a great day. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Do we need
I
to
need a motion.
move to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
When in doubt.
President Dallas?
Yes.
Secretary Sa?
Yes.
Treasurer Gainer?
Yep.
Trustee Simpson?
Yes.
Trustee Allen?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is approved SOPs number 102, 330, 710, 802, 803, 901, 902, bingo.
So moved.
These were the same ones from last month.
Right.
With the,
Right.
you know,
the updates.
which
Yeah.
speak to that, they incorporated the.
Yeah, we put the updates into the ride along and the waivers that we had for that, so those are some of the things.
Everything looks good this year.
Did you make a motion?
I said some. Second.
And I believe that's roll call too.
Yes, please.
President Dallas?
Yes.
Secretary Sa? Treasurer Gainer?
Yep.
Trustee Simpson? Trustee Allen?
Yes.
Approved surplus list disposition. Obviously, there was nothing new to add. Was there anything new to take off?
Is there, do you have a link to those auctions on the website or how do the public find those?
They're on Gov Deals, those people search them constantly anyway, but people live on that.
But it's
Yeah.
Gov Deals.
GovDeals.com.
Yeah, and we do not have links on our website or any of our social media platforms to our auction items.
Right.
I guess we could investigate it. We just haven't, to be honest.
I mean, anything we could do to drive the auction?
No.
Quite honestly, people have been getting more. I've had 3 districts auction off, say, one was a brush truck, somebody else another type of piece of apparatus, especially for like vehicles. And in 3 cases, for things that are like 10, 15 years old, they got more than they paid for it 10, 15 years ago. So you just never know.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how much our old utility truck went for.
Yeah.
It was substantially more than we expected.
Yeah. So.
When do you expect the old engine?
As soon as I can.
Are you looking to place a bid there?
Maybe, yeah.
They only accept government.
And Gov Deals, I think it's only agencies.
I think
You have
it's
to do some
only
sort of,
public
yeah.
agencies.
I think so, I'm not sure.
You could donate it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Well, I am looking off. No, they're expensive.
There's a place in Grace Lake that does a lot of government, auction, Ovenoff does a lot of public, private auctions too. But
You
they,
have a guy?
Ovenoff, yeah.
Share your guy.
Bruce got all kinds of guys. It's always nice to have a guy. Do we have a guy that wants to make a motion to pay the bills?
I will make the motion to pay the bills totaling $27,173.32.
Roll call.
President Kelly.
Yes.
Secretary Steps. Treasurer Hammond.
Yep.
Trustee Simpson.
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Yes.
Is there any reason to go into executive session?
I have none.
Okay. Before we adjourn, I'd like to give public comment one more.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. sir.
Comment, one thing.
Yes.
Are we having an open house this year?
Never been discussed.
Do it this year.
Yeah.
With our manpower, we talked
So,
about that.
so, yeah, we have, some challenging issues with our current staffing levels, and, we couldn't pull off a decent open house, to be honest, with our current staffing status. However, we have expanded our outreach, so we're going to a lot of places, a lot more than we had in previous years. But in terms of hosting one here, that was good.
Let's hope things improve.
I also have one quick question. This is for the chief deputy chief. So CMS recently is starting to do cost data collection. So they have started to pull NPIs. Have you reached out to your billing agency to see if your NPI has been pulled?
We've not.
Do that, please.
NPI.
What's that?
NPI?
Yeah, see if your NPI's been pulled. It's gonna be vitally important. It's to get this cost data collection in because it's CMS is looking at Medicare rates to see if there's gonna be an increase on Medicare. So, however, some agencies are getting the notification that their NPIs are being pulled. Others, it's being sent to their billing department. So just make sure that PBS is on top of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will make that notification. Sure. But no, we hadn't gotten any notification or nor notice of a notification.
So with COVID, cost data collection was pushed, and so NPIs were pushed. But I know there's a lot to it. I just went through the whole conference on it. So just get as much headway as you can to be able to put. PBS should be putting most of that data in for you. However, some of that's gonna have to come from the department.
No. There was a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Good meeting. I want to remind you that the booklets, whatever, is, from the 6 people are on the table, so if you want to grab them, start perusing them and bring them back in a reasonable amount of time, a few days, 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, the booklets out are the standard, kind of advertisement. This is why we're awesome. Right. Booklets. The financials are in my office. Under some level of security, but